September feels like more of an extension of the preseason, and how important is it for you to kind of get everyone involved this weekend and kind of continue the evaluation process?
I think it feels about like it normally does this time of year. It's early September. It's time to start playing real games. So I think it feels about the same. It's always important to keep improving all the way through the start of training camp to the end of the season to our final practice. So definitely want to try to keep improving in every area on a daily basis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question, Nick O'Malley, followed by Megan O'Brien. Nick O'Malley, you're muted.
How about now?
You're good.
Okay. With the lack of preseason and full contact snaps for players, does that change the approach with snap counts and how willing you are to have guys play full 60, 70 snap games, or do you expect to have a heavier rotation than you normally would for a season opener?
Yeah, I think we just have to do what we feel like is best for the football team in this game and every week, and so whatever that is, it'll be based on a number of factors: the game plan, how it's going, what other players are involved in certain personnel groups and rotations and so forth. So we've talked about that, and it might be different for different players at different positions, and we'll have to see how the game goes too. So it could unfold during the game to a certain degree. All the players that are active for the game need to be ready to play. They all know that, and we'll substitute and do the best we can based on what we feel gives us the best competitive chance to win.
Next question, Megan O'Brien, and I'd encourage anyone else to raise it and to ask a question.
Good morning, Bill.
Hi, Megan.
Lynn Bowden Jr. is a guy that Miami just signed this week, and he has a lot of versatility playing quarterback in college, contributing special teams, running back, and also there's thought that he could contribute as a wide receiver. What types of problems does a player that's that versatile and new to the league, there's not a lot of tape on him in this league, present to your team?
Well, we know him from college. We saw plenty of film of him in Kentucky, both as a receiver his junior year and then more as a quarterback this year and doing some of the other specialty things that you talked about. So, we'll just have to see how Miami elects to use him, and we'll deal with it accordingly. But we know he's a versatile player. There's a number of guys like that. They have another one in Perry. We see guys like that from time to time over the course of the season. So how a team elects to use that particular individual and try to, get him the ball or give him an opportunity to make plays, or sometimes use him as a decoy for the defense. Those are all things that we've dealt with, and we'll just have to, be sound in our in defending players like that. I think you got to be careful about overplaying those guys, and because teams will use them as decoys, and just put them in there as a distraction so they can do something else. So there's a balance on that. And, we'll try to do it like we do, other players that have a similar versatile skill set. But you're right, we don't really know what he's going to do. So, we'll have to wait and see on that.
And just to follow up, you don't know what he's going to do, but you don't know a lot of things about Miami just it being the first game of the regular season. How important is adjusting? I know it's important in every game, but specifically in the first game, because once the team kind of declares what they're going to do, I'm sure there's adjustments to be made.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that'll be a component of this game. It is every week because, teams always try to make adjustments, sometimes subtle adjustments, sometimes not so subtle, to try to change their attack and be less predictable and make the other team figure out, what they're doing. But in the end, it usually comes back to fundamentals and things that, you've been doing and you think you can do well, or that's the best things that you do. So you end up running those. So, in the end, I think That's what we'll see most of, but I'm sure there'll be some variety in there and some, gadget plays or things, deceptive type plays that if if you're not alert, that they could catch you by surprise. So we'll definitely have to be ready for those. But adjusting will be a big part of the game. There's no question about that. And the players and the coaches will have to. There'll be things that we'll not do once we get into the game that we're planning on doing now, and vice versa. There'll be things that we're not planning on doing now that we'll want or need to do during the game. And I don't have any doubt about that. I'm sure that'll be true on both sides of the field.
Thank you.
All right, next question, Alan Silver, followed by Jim McBride.
Thanks, Stacy. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, morning.
You are a football fan, of course, and you've always talked about that. And just playing off Megan's question a little bit, there's never been a starting day, an opening day in the NFL like there is this time. Is the football fan in you at all intrigued just to see what goes on league-wide because there's just so much unknown about everything?
Well, again, for the NFL, it's without the preseason games, yeah, that's true. But again, in preseason, there's not much scheming going on. Most teams are just trying to run their basic plays and evaluate the players against the opponent that's also basically doing the same thing. It's not a lot of game planning and strategy. That really hits on the first regular season game. So I think the preseason allows the players to give them an opportunity to go out there and play and work on their fundamentals, and that includes contact and some of the things that go with that. But from a strategic standpoint, I don't think you really see a lot in preseason. Some of what you see is intentionally deceptive and misleading anyway, so doesn't really matter. But again, this is what every college and high school team does. This is football. You practice and then you have an opening game. There are no preseason games in college or high school or anything like that either. So I don't think this is anything that's unusual in our sport. It's a little different in the NFL, granted, and the preseason gives young players an opportunity to show what they can do in game conditions, and sometimes that's harder to see in practice, or you only get to see it against certain matchups in practice, and then when those matchups change in preseason games, you just get a little better evaluation of the player. But strategically, I don't think it makes much difference, and as I said, all the other teams that play football outside of the NFL are doing it the way we're doing it, so I don't think it's that unusual. Other than if you're just looking at an NFL schedule.
And just a quick follow-up, Bill. Just ball security has always been extremely important to you, obviously. Has there been an extra emphasis at all this week just reminding the players they're going to get hit hard for really the first time, and the speed's going to be different, and just to take care of that ball because the speed and the hitting will be different?
Yeah, absolutely. Not this week. Just every day, the entire preseason. That's been a major point of emphasis for us, to take care of the ball, to take the ball away and take advantage of our opportunities to get the ball. So that's going to be very, very critical aspect of this game, of every game. But as you said, we haven't experienced the contact and the ball security that comes with contact like we're going to on Sunday, like every team's going to on Sunday. So we've tried to simulate that as much as possible, but that'll be that's a new thing that we can't, or we've experienced it, but not in the way that we're going to see it on Sunday for sure.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome, Alan.
Next question, Jim McBride, followed by Andrew Callahan.
Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Jim.
Wanted to ask you about J.J. Taylor and what you've seen from his progress this summer.
Yeah, well, JJ, is a good college player. We signed him after the draft, and he's been competitive. Had some opportunities early in camp when Sony was out, and then had some opportunities later in camp here when Damian missed a few days. So I think he's done a good job of taking advantage of those opportunities. It's the running back position is one that you can see a lot more of in live competition where tackling and live blitz pickup and that type of thing are really become more of a focal point than what you see here in practice. And being able to, you can evaluate the running back's vision in practice, but getting through the line, running through those arm tackles, not getting tripped up or getting tripped up, whatever the case might be. But those evaluations of inline running and inline vision and open field tackling and running and so forth, those are skills that you can see a lot more of when the actual games occur. So in his opportunities, he's done a good job. It'll be interesting to see how he plays and get a better evaluation of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Next question, Andrew Callahan, followed by Phil Perry.
Good morning, Bill.
Andrew?
Players in the past have shared that they appreciate in team meetings on Wednesdays how they're provided a kind of a deeper understanding of their opponent beyond, kind of your matchups and some X's and O's from you in terms of, a history of the franchise or just what's important to the coaches and how they run their program. So obviously, without sharing anything that's been said in meetings, seeing how Coach Flores has worked with the Dolphins out for a full year, knowing him as well as you do, how would you describe the program he's kind of bringing along in Miami and what's important to him?
Well, I'm sure he's talked about what's important to him, so I don't think I need to comment on that. But he's this very much has his stamp on it. It's his program, and he's done things the way that he wants to do them and what he believes in. They certainly took their lumps on that in the first quarter of the season last year. But as the season went on, they developed more consistency and got things, in a much better place. Ended up winning 5 games and beat several good teams, beat us at the end of the year. Played in more competitive games, and then this year, turned over some coaches, but also brought in a number of significant players, both in the draft and in free agency, that, in my opinion, would reflect the type of team that he's trying to build. I mean, I think I can see what he's trying to do and the players that he brought in. I can see how he would think that they would, fit into the culture and the type of program that he's trying to establish. So, it looks like that they're a lot better than they were last year based on the acquisitions that they've made. As I said, they've changed, some members of their coaching staff. And so exactly how that gets reflected in philosophy and game planning and play calling and so forth, I guess that remains to be seen. We haven't seen that yet, but just looking at what they've done in terms of roster building, it's pretty clear that Brian has a plan. He knows where he's going, and he's taking steps to get there. That's pretty obvious.
A quick follow-up. Knowing Coach Boyer as you do, I don't know if you believe it's at all reasonable without a preseason to kind of project any changes he might introduce to the defense now as a coordinator, or is that something you just have to wait and see?
Yeah, we definitely have our thoughts on that, and I mean, we have to go with something, and so we're going to go with the things that we think are most likely to occur. And prepare for those, knowing that we're not going to be 100% right, and knowing that they're going to do some things that we wouldn't expect them to do, or that maybe they haven't shown before under any of their current coaches that we're aware of. So, as I think Megan asked earlier, there'll be adjustments and things that we'll have to do during the game that will be game time. Will be game time adjustments or game time calls that we'll have to make, but I think, fundamentally, we have a pretty good idea of what we think we're going to get from the certain coaches on their staff that are going to be involved in play calling or the way they have things broken up, and what that'll bring us, and we'll see how all that plays out. I don't know.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep, you're welcome.
And the last question will be Phil Perry. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey, Bill. I wanted to ask you because you mentioned that answer to Andrew. You can kind of tell what Brian's trying to do in terms of building the team with the guys they brought in. What are some of those characteristics, and how do maybe Van Noy and Roberts and Karras fit into that?
Yeah, well, again, I think, Brian's talked about what he's trying to do. I think that's really the place to start there. We have to just prepare for it, and so that's what we're trying to do. But all the players you mentioned are good football players. They're solid people. They bring a lot to the organization as well as to the football field, and had a lot of experience, had a lot of good experience. Have a positive attitude and have won a lot of games, and they've helped us win a lot of games. So, I'm sure that they'll be good additions to their program.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, you're welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Yep, thank you.
How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
What's my retirement savings plan? Oil, baby. Oil. Sprinkler pipe. Diane!
Ready or not. Gillette Pro Glide and Pro Glide Gel. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke while washing away dirt and oil. So you're ready for the day with a clean shave and a clean face.
For over 60 years, this team has transformed itself into a championship organization. For over 160 years, our team has demonstrated a similar mentality. There are no days off. Our front lines are fortified by people who sacrifice individuality for the team. Our shelves are also stocked with the best quality products and ingredients. Our team members know their roles. We're proud to do our jobs. Shaw's, the official supermarket of the 6-time champion New England Patriots.
My Caleb Sofa and Love Seat. With Bob's discount, you get both pieces for just $7.99.
$7.99? Are you joking?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Yes. You look like you're joking.
I'm serious.
Cool.
Get Bob's discount! How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
What's my retirement savings plan? Oil, baby. Oil.